The following is a DW Ancient Egypt production. With Mentuhotep II, the country is again united. The First Intermediate Period ends and the Middle Kingdom begins in 2055 BC. After unifying the country, Mentuhotep II spent the rest of his long life returning peace and prosperity to Egypt, which they had not experienced in over 200 years. South of his predecessor's Saf tombs, Mentuhotep constructed a large mortuary temple on the impressive Great Bay of Cliffs at Deir el-Bahari. The choice of this location was certainly related to the Theban origin of the 11th dynasty. Mentuhotep's predecessors on the Theban throne were all buried close by in Saf tombs. Furthermore, Mentuhotep may have chosen Deir el-Bahari because it was aligned with the Temple of Karnak on the other side of the Nile. In particular, the statue of Amun was brought annually to Deir el-Bahari during the beautiful festival of the valley, something which the king may have perceived as beneficial to his funerary cult. This temple tomb was innovative and consisted of a great stepped podium with square-cut pillars around it. At the rear of the base of the cliffs was a terrace with a hypostyle hall. The main entrance of this complex became a deep tunnel that led to a chamber beneath the temple, which held an impressive seated stone statue of the king. The mortuary temple of Mentuhotep II has been excavated many times. In the late 19th century, Swiss Egyptologist Edouard Navy found 3 princesses beneath the paving stones in the mortuary temple. These ladies of the harem of Mentuhotep were poorly mummified. One of these burials contained a young girl in a wooden coffin. In the Middle Kingdom, people were placed on their sides in these wooden coffins. 2 eyes were painted on the coffin. On their side, facing west, these eyes allowed them to see, so they knew where they were going during their journey to the afterlife. Often the insides of the coffins were inscribed with spells to help them get to the next world. You can tell the kingdom from the type of coffin. The Middle Kingdom coffins were all wooden boxes with simple bands of hieroglyphs. The New Kingdom developed the coffins that were shaped like a mummy, much like King Tut's coffins. The development of the coffin texts began with Pharaoh Unas when he began the pyramid texts, the spells written on the walls of the burial chamber that was continued throughout the 6th dynasty. A commoner would never have seen these spells because the pyramids were sealed, but during the First Intermediate Period, these pyramids were robbed. All the pyramids created up to this point were robbed during the First Intermediate Period. Snefru's pyramids, the Great Pyramid of Giza, and the 5th and 6th dynasty tombs. Here, the commoners were now observing these spells in the burial chambers and realized that they helped you to resurrect. As a result, these were copied, and since they did not have pyramids themselves, the commoners began writing the spells into their own coffins. These pyramid texts in coffins became known as coffin texts, which would later become part of the Book of the Dead in the New Kingdom. Mentuhotep II had wealth and was established. He had the means to create beautiful portraits and statues as seen from the Old Kingdom. However, the artistic talents seem to have been lost during the First Intermediate Period. Although these statues are successful in showing him as a powerful man, they are not well made. They lack high-quality artistic craftsmanship and appear crude. The royal sculptors and studios of the past were not supported during the Intermediate Period, and, as a result, the skills were momentarily lost. Mentuhotep II's enthroned statue shows him wearing the red crown and the tight Hebsed costume. His black color features his assimilation to Osiris, the underworld god of fertility. A second statue features him standing in his Jubilee garment. The most profound innovations of Mentuhotep II's temple were not architectural, but religious. First, it is the earliest mortuary temple, where the king is not just the recipient of offerings, but rather enacts ceremonies for the gods, and in this case, Amun-Ra. Second, the temple identifies the king with Osiris, a local Theban god, which grew in importance from the 11th dynasty onward. The decoration and royal statuary of the temple emphasizes the Osirian aspects of the dead ruler, an ideology apparent in the statuary of many later pharaohs. One of the first war cemeteries was discovered by Wenlock in the 1920s near Mentuhotep's temple, which contained the bodies of over 60 soldiers killed in battle. They had almost certainly been killed in Nubia and brought back to Egypt for burial. At Asyut, 2 finely detailed wooden models of soldiers were found in the tomb of Maseti. These represent 40 strong detachments of Egyptian spearmen and Nubian archers. These models provide an incredible view of what the soldiers used in battle and how they dressed. Another amazing find was the tomb of Mentuhotep II's chancellor, Meketre. The burial location was near Mentuhotep's mortuary temple and built into the cliff face, like most of the other nobles during this time. Although the tomb had been stripped of any valuables and damaged in antiquity, archaeologist Herbert Wenlock discovered a small concealed chamber containing 24 wooden models representing the daily life of the Egyptians. These models are some of the most valuable wooden artifacts to have ever been found, as wood is not common to survive in the humidity of the Egyptian region. The models provide significant detail about the raising and slaughtering of livestock, storage of grain, making of bread and beer, and design of boats in Middle Kingdom Egypt. The models are complete in every detail, and like the wooden models of soldiers, provide a snapshot into the lives of the Egyptians during this time.